Welcome everyone. We now have a panel on yoga for scleroderma, and we have more people. If you haven't seen yesterday, we have even more people from around the world here. So welcome everyone, and I'm going to pass to Lori, who's going to be the moderator for this panel. Thank you.
Hi, welcome everyone. I am Lori Pierce, and we're going to get started with introductions. I'm going to pass it over to Kathy first, as Kathy is our fearless leader and the one who has founded Yoga for Scleroderma. So I will let her start with her introduction.
Hi, my name is Kathy Randolph, and I have practiced yoga for the special child with Shiva Kami and Hanada since 1999. I'm a program teacher for the 95-hour and the continuing ed on scleroderma and arthritis. In 2002, I started applying the Sonia Sumar method, which is what we call yoga for the special child when it's adults, to the symptoms of scleroderma. Now, yoga for scleroderma is taught by people with scleroderma who teach their own experience to their fellow scleroderma warriors. And I now do tech support. And I'll pass it back to Lori, our moderator.
Thank you, Kathy. Again, I am Lori Pierce, and I was diagnosed with scleroderma in 2002. I didn't come to being a yoga individual until 2010, when my body was becoming severely limited in range of motion. And at that point, I wasn't able to get dressed by myself or put on socks and shoes. So I knew I needed to do something to start to get range of motion and quality of life back. So I took a yoga class, fully expecting that it was going to be something that I couldn't do. And fortunately, my first yoga teacher taught me how to modify and to use props to make the poses possible for me safely, comfortably. And I just started changing my life. And then in 2014, I became a yoga teacher. I took a 200-hour through my local studio here in Tampa. I never had any intentions of teaching. I was just doing it to make my body better and to learn more about yoga so I could improve my health. And I was sharing my journey online, and someone introduced me to Kathy, who was teaching yoga for scleroderma. And we had a phone conversation. And during that conversation, I bought plane tickets and signed up to fly to Reno, Nevada to take the part 1 with Kathy, and then the continuing education for scleroderma and arthritis after that, so that I could then be certified to teach to my population. And then the rest is history. When you say anything around Kathy, don't, think out loud, because she makes it a reality. And now here I am doing the work that I'm doing and loving every minute of it. I love being able to share what we do with this community, and the team that we've built here is really great. And I'm really happy to be doing this and working with these people. So I will now pass it off to Cheryl. Was that a no from Cheryl?
I didn't know that I was saying anything, so sorry. Yeah, no. Hi, my name is Cheryl Albright. I'm the occupational therapist and team yoga for scleroderma. I've been practicing with Renata and Sonia since 2009. I met Kathy about a year later at her studio in Reno, and she quickly found out that I was one of the therapists in the room, and the rest is history.
Thanks, Cheryl. Next up, we have Alexis.
Good morning. I'm Alexis Harrison, and before I was diagnosed with scleroderma, I was having autoimmune symptoms. I had some other autoimmune diseases, really had deep tissue muscle pain and could not really move very well. So I started adding yoga into my everyday just to get up and get moving around. Fast forward to getting married and having children. I was diagnosed shortly after the birth of my first child, and was still doing yoga to manage my symptoms, but went to a patient education conference for scleroderma where I met Kathy. And she said, you touch base with me when you get your yoga teacher certification. And I did. And here I am still with Kathy and the team, Yoga for Scleroderma, and still teaching. And I've now had my second child. And here I am. And do you want me to send it to Pat?
If you would like to, you go right ahead.
Okay, so we'll send it over to Pat.
Hi, my name is Pat McMillan. I was actually diagnosed with scleroderma in 2013 at the age of 60. At the time, I was actually going through cancer treatment. So it was another mixed bag going on with everything else in my life at that point. My history with yoga was kind of off and on. I actually started doing yoga when I worked in Antarctica. We would get up before work and we would have a little yoga session every day. So I didn't really keep up with it until I went to a patient conference in, I think, 2017, where I ran into Kathy's session. I thought it was one of the best things ever when I was going to this patient conference. Who knew? I just kind of let it drop. And then I kind of was taking a cancer rehab class, and my instructor said, hey, I'm doing this yoga for scleroderma training, or the scleroderma training. Why don't you think about it? So I did, contacted Kathy, took the part one, then the continuing ed with no intention at all of doing anything other than it helping my body myself, because I have range of motion, digestive issues, Raynaud's. But as Lori mentioned, don't say something verbally around Kathy, because then it will be happening. So anyway, I've become part of the team as their photographer. So Lori, I will pass it back to you.
Thank you, Pat. Let's go with Neetu next.
Hello everyone, my name is Neetu Wadhwa and I'm from India. Actually, I'm the newest member of this team. I have been living with scleroderma since the end of the year 2009. With another fellow patient in India, I started Scleroderma India Trust, a support group and charitable trust, and we work all across the country, that is India. I have had an on and off relationship with yoga and exercises, even before I got scleroderma. I started doing yoga in 2017 to manage my symptoms after I came to know of Yoga for Scleroderma group through Scleroderma Foundation. And it started giving me my flexibility back. But yes, we were not able to do one-on-one interactions with Yoga for Scleroderma. In fact, Yoga for Scleroderma's videos were our go-to pointers in the Indian subcontinent, since we needed help because with scleroderma, our body is restricted and we cannot do all the asanas. And a lot of people across India have reported back that these videos really help them. So I got introduced to Kathy on social media. And a few years back, I missed the chance to meet her in person when she was traveling in India. And 2 years back, the pandemic changed a lot of things for us. In India, we started having a lot of awareness activities, or I would rather say educational sessions on online platform, mostly on Zoom, on various subjects. Education towards medical ailments and how to support yourself were the major topics. That was the time I contacted Yoga for Scleroderma team to do a live session for us online of yoga asanas to manage our systems. And it happened in August 2020. We, in collaboration with Yoga for Scleroderma, we did our first online session for Indian subcontinent patients. And then there was no stopping. The next session which was specially for breathing exercises, was done in February 2021, where not only scleroderma, but few other chronic condition patients also participated and got benefited out of that. Me and few of my team members from India who are present over here today, we all translated those sessions from English to Hindi to parallelly. That was also first with Yoga for Scleroderma team. And that's how we started becoming, especially I became a part of Yoga for Scleroderma team, all thanks to the pandemic. That's why there's a saying that there is always some blessing in disguise. That was for us. Now, also in July 2020, Yoga for Scleroderma started conducting the weekly meditation on various themes. Now, the special thing over here is once a month, these meditation sessions are translated into Hindi by our team from India and are available not only on YouTube channel of Yoga for Scleroderma, but are available on podcast channel also. I will not bore you with the numbers, but I will ask Katie to share the numbers where we have reached, because the growth has been tremendous on the podcast channel, which actually show that so many people across the countries might be really waiting for something like this. So weekly meditation was something which actually got us in the groove as a whole team. And I would say the whole team is rocking. That was from my side. And now I'll just ask Katie to share the numbers with everyone.
Thank you, Neetu. Well, we started recording the podcast in September 2020. And at this point, we have about 5,400 downloads in over 750 countries and 1,140 cities. And so, and it goes up every Friday morning, and we have about 150 downloads every week. And most of them happen on Friday. So people are waiting. And as soon as they're available, and of course, you're all welcome to join us. They're free. We have one at 6:30 a.m. Eastern time every Wednesday, and one at 6:30 p.m. India time, also on Wednesday.
Thank you to Kathy, who is not only, you know, our founder and does all of those things, she's also our numbers lady. So I'm going to pass it over now. I believe let's Irene.
Hello, everyone. I'm Irene from Taiwan, and I'm the program coordinator for Yoga for the Special Child in Taiwan. And because we have Kathy coming to Taiwan, and she showed me this wonderful yoga for the scleroderma and really opened my eyes. And I started promoting in Taiwan. And I'm so glad that because of that, we attract Elon, that she will be talking next. That I have my own yoga for the scleroderma teacher, which is Elon, and join the team. So for both of us, we actually try to do podcasts in Chinese too, to bring up the awareness of scleroderma and let more people know about the symptoms. And we had 2 programs in Taiwan already, and we attract people from, I mean, not just scleroderma, and we also have different conditions with burns and, you know, Raynaud's, and what's that other one that was that they cannot move? And do you remember what was that condition?
Lupus and
No,
the
SLD.
Yes.
Yes. And so we actually attract people that was doing that in Taiwan. And that's something that me and Iron would really want to really push for in Taiwan, to get more people to get aware of these symptoms and this condition. And it's really helping a lot, not just the symptoms, but also the elderlies and different groups. So I'm going to pass it to Irong, and I'll be translating for her, and she'll be telling us about her little stories. Okay, Irong, your turn.
Hello everyone, my Chinese name is 邵怡蓉。现在开始讲中文。
Okay.
我在2017年的时候做了骨髓移植后，在2018年的时候，就在排斥的时候发现了是硬皮症。那我在2018年隔了1年多，才在2019年的7月遇到了 Irene 老师，然后他也跟我1对1上了硬皮症瑜伽。那在去他的瑜伽教室后，我是上了3次课之后，我就是都一直在家里自主练习。那其实当中我也有去医院做复健。那在医院的过程中，其实是比在练习瑜伽来的久，但是都没有出现效果。那之后在练习瑜伽后，我自己也觉得我的皮肤跟肌肉有比较松缓。那在那时候，我一直也是有在跟艾瑞老师保持联络，只是后来也是没有到瑜伽教室去。是在 Katie 老师要在2020年的时候来台湾的时候，那艾瑞老师就有问我有没有想要去上特殊儿童瑜伽跟硬皮症瑜伽。那时候2020年 Katie 老师来台湾的时候，我也是有去上这个师资培训。那后来的话，因为疫情也比较严重，我们就是也无法进去校园跟一些机构，所以我也是依然在家里自主练习。那是之后疫情比较缓和的时候，艾瑞老师就有就是慢慢带我们进去校园啊，就是教一些儿童，就是一些特殊儿童瑜伽，就是当助教。那现在我就是做了硬皮症瑜伽之后，原本在起色没有很好的复健看到了效果，那现在我就是依然可以到公司去上班，就是生活都能自如。那现在因为台湾的代步工具基本上就是公车捷运，那现在我也是可以就是很稳定的骑摩托车去上班了。对，谢谢大家。
Okay, so Irong, actually, she was diagnosed with a cancer in 2014. 你是2010几年得到癌症
？2016年。
Okay, so she was she found out that she had a cancer in 2016. So she actually had a bone marrow transplant in 2017. And with the treatment, she found out that her side effect is a scleroderma in 2018. So at that time, she was so in 2019, she found July, she found out about this yoga for the scleroderma, and she came into my studio for 3 sessions. And so the 3 private sessions, and she'd been practicing on herself, on her own daily. And there's a lot dramatic changes in her. So in 2020, when Kathy was here for the course, I asked her if she wants to become a yoga for the special child teacher and also yoga for the Scleroderma teacher. So she actually attended the programs for 9 straight days. And that was the time that when she realized how much it helped her for that time. And because of the pandemic, so we kind of slowed down a little bit, but in the beginning of this year, 2021, I actually invited her to go into school for a special ed school to teach children with special needs. And due to the pandemic, that we kind of have to stop, but we saw a lot of changes in the children. But now she is actually back to school, back to work, she started working. And in Taiwan, our transportation normally is MRTs and buses. And now she's back on her bike. So she can ride her bike, motorbike, safely. And that was great. Yes, that's.
Great. Thank you, everyone. I believe that's everyone, correct, Kathy? I didn't miss anybody. Okay. So I guess we will just open it up for questions now. Kathy, has anybody presented any questions?
When,
The Chinese.
sorry, I'm looking in our chat. We had several comments. Dana said those are really impressive numbers. Yoga for Scleroderma team. Wow. And if you'd like, you can.
There's the Chinese one. Yeah. So.
Yeah. So you can read that one.
No, it's just from a teacher, one of our practitioner in Taiwan. She said, Sharon is very good. You're very good. Keep going. Yes.
Good, good. So if you'd like, you can either raise your hand or you can put a question in the chat. And we'd love to talk to you.
Thank you, Kathy. Does anyone from the team have anything that they're working on that they'd really like to share about that we haven't discussed in our introductions?
And sorry.
Oh, you muted yourself, Kathy.
Thank you. We have a question from Erin Shanti in Chicago, and she says, what has your experience been collaborating all over the world?
Kathy, why don't you start, since you're the one that's kind of put all this together, and then we'll all just piggyback off of you.
Well, it's amazing. We, in addition to our huge Scleroderma India team, where we're now presenting every week, translating into Hindi. Our YouTube channel has an entire Hindi playlist. And working in Taiwan, where now Yirong and Irene are starting to translate our videos and podcasts into Mandarin. We just put up our Dutch playlist, thanks to Rose. And so we are also being featured on Rumanu, which is a month-long virtual symposium in the Netherlands. And we have featured our #1 video, which is Before Your Feet Hit the Floor, which is by Alexis and Lori. And it is what they do every morning to get going. And it is now in Dutch. It also has subtitles in Dutch. And we're also starting to close caption our videos in English. And of course, then we start close captioning them in other languages right now. And mostly we just say yes when people call us up.
That's pretty much been the experience. Kathy gets the call and then she asks the rest of us, and we're all always on board for anything. For me, this has become my life's work. So the fact that we are reaching world round has been phenomenal to me. I never planned to teach in the first place. So the fact that now we are reaching 75 countries and working with teams around the world is just, it's amazing. And it's great that the team that we have collaborates so well together. I think that we have the perfect team, and I'm just thrilled with it all. Anybody else on the panel want to express their opinion?
I mean, Kathy has access to my schedule and my husband, so it just gets plugged in and she tells me where to go.
And I just bring the babies everywhere. but I think like I think it's exciting, you know, when the pandemics broke out, you know, I was banished to my home for the year because I was pregnant and high risk. And so it was really exciting to get to collaborate with India. And now I feel like connected to them. And so I think, I don't know, that's my takeaway. I want to, when travel opens back up, I'm going to follow you around the world, Kathy.
Okay,
Oh.
so I would like to add on that when I was contacting Katie a couple of years back, there was no pandemic and things were normal that time. And I could never imagine in my lifetime that we would be able to collaborate on something like that. Because for us, the only medium to learn was watching those videos. Or if possible for someone was to, you know, go abroad, go to US and learn from Katie, Laurie, and the whole team. But as I said earlier, that it's a blessing in disguise, you know, that this pandemic has actually opened a lot of avenues for all of us, you know, where we are able to learn everything from the team sitting in our own homes, which has been quite beneficial for all the Indian patients. So yes, I would say like, you know, like somebody just now mentioned, Katie never say no to anyone. Yes, I can really vouch for that. She never says no to anyone. And I think that has been the whole motto of this whole organization and the reason for the growth actually.
We have some questions in our chat, and from Hanada, if you receive someone with scleroderma that wants to take yoga with us, besides taking your course, what would be things we need to watch and pay closer attention to? And she says, like GERD, what poses that you may not think about but might be good for it? And I'm gonna pass that one to Lori.
Oh, I was afraid you were going to say that. So obviously because of GERD, and for anyone that doesn't know, GERD is gastroesophageal reflux disease, which is basically really bad acid reflux. And it can be caused by a couple of things. One of the biggest ones that we concern ourselves with is that the valve at the bottom of the esophagus gets stuck open. So our biggest thing that we just always assume that everyone has reflux now. So any position that would normally, any poses that are normally like legs up the wall or anything reclined, or we don't do anything really upside down. We always put everyone on an inclined plane of some sort, and Kathy and Alexis are always ready to demonstrate what those look like so that people know how to set them up from home. I think that for me, that's the biggest, is making sure that people aren't having reflux issues while they're doing yoga. And then just, it really is a lot of sight. You have to really be able to see how the person is moving their body. And I think part of what works best for us is that, and this is why Kathy puts me on so many things now, is that while she was doing great before the rest of the team came along, by adding those of us that have scleroderma, it just makes the program that much better because we can speak from our body experiences and we can notice when we're working with someone what their body experience might be because we've already had a felt sense there. So it's really just making sure to tell them, one of the things we always say is that there may be some discomfort. We don't want to hurt. Nothing should be painful. What is it that you say, Kathy? No tearing, ripping, searing, pain, but might be just the edge of discomfort. Because if we've been locked in these positions for so long, to start moving them again and stretching them out again, or my hands, you know, when I really stretch them, it's not super comfortable, but it helps. And over the long term, it's going to be much better. So always just watching for their range of motion. And if they start to stop somewhere, maybe that's their edge of discomfort and you don't want to push them beyond that. And we keep everything very simple. We're not doing headstands. We're not doing any inversions that are crazy because, you know, no one really ever needs to do those. So we definitely don't push any of that stuff. Always very gentle, very slow and easy going. Alexis, Pat, Cheryl, OT person, anybody want to add on top of that I'm missing anything?
Well, I'll add something to that too. So it's kind of hard to see over Zoom, but because of the decreased circulation, you want to look for blanching in the fingers and toes. And the blanching isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's just you don't want to hold it more than 5 seconds past that point. And when I mean blanching, I'm going to see if I can get my finger close enough. It's when your fingertips turn white. So that means there's decreased blood flow. Yeah, thank you, Alexis. There's decreased blood flow coming to your fingers. And so when we're doing hand mudras, that's okay, but you don't want to go past like a breath or two. So if you're holding something, most likely probably not going into downward dog because of reflex, but anything that's weight bearing in your hands to pay attention to. Same with the feet. The toes will do the same thing.
Yeah, I think that's
Thank you.
That's
and we
super important. Sorry, I was just going to say I just always tell people if it hurts, let's back out of it and find another way to do it. Because we don't want anything to hurt. We want it to feel like that gentle stretch.
Thank you, Alexis. Kathy, you're muted again, sweetie.
We have a question for Xiao Yu Rong from Sandra. Can you please give more details regarding your health improvement when you started yoga?
OK， 这怡蓉，你的问题是呢，就是从Sandra 她想要问你说，就是你的进步，你的医生有没有说些什么？就是你身体的一些进步，然后对，然后有哪些地方是有进步的？
好，一开始我是连蹲下去啊，前说是卡片掉或是零钱掉了。那这边的话，我都是无法蹲下去捡。那我之前还夸张到有一个孕妇看到我的钱掉下去，我不想要捡它了，她也愿意挺着大肚子要帮我捡下去那个1块钱，然后我就心里就觉得很不好意思，所以我就用一个很奇特的方式，就是在我那时候无法蹲下去的时候的怪姿势蹲下去捡起来了。然后那时候就是因为手也握不住。所以我那时候可能就是代步的工具就是公车，那有时候公车就是开很快，所以我的手就是要抓很紧，不然就是真的要找位置坐。那还有就是之前就是连我上厕所就是连擦屁股都是做不到的一个动作，就是会擦不干净，你就会知道我之前的就是生活跟现在就是有了改善，然后就是以前就是骑车啊手都会就是抽筋，就会变成这个状态，到现在就是我骑车就是可以很正常，也不用害怕就是在安全上有什么意外。对
，OK， So for the beginning of her condition, like she couldn't kneel down, and there was one time that she actually. Like she can't even pick up her credit card, anything that fell on the floor, she cannot pick up, she cannot kneel down. And there was one time that one of a pregnant lady was trying to pick up, like helping her to pick up her stuff. And she had to try her like very best to actually pick it up because she wouldn't be able to tell that, you know, what's her condition. And also that when the beginning of her condition was that, like when she has to take the bus because after she was diagnosed with a scleroderma, she could not ride her motorbike anymore. She has to take the bus, and it was like just holding onto the grip was difficult. And then also the very daily life stuff is more of like, you know, when she goes to the bathroom, she can't really turn and she can't really wipe clean. And that's the time that was one of the that was like a really bad condition of her at that time. And when she was riding her at the very beginning, when she was trying to still be able to ride her motorbike, she always has her crumbs on her hands, and she had to ride it like that, what she was showing. And now she can actually ride it like normally like before. So she's back on her bike and off she goes to work and get her life back. Yeah. 那那个医生有说些什么吗？就是你的医生。
医生的话就是有说，就是因为那是急性，算是排斥，那就是会慢慢改善。那他一开始也是看到我就是手啊、脚啊都很不方便，他很担心我生活上能不能自理，然后就是有跟他讲一下我刚刚发生的那些问题。那现在我都还可以示范，就是蹲下去给他看，就是台湾在厕所上就是会是那个亚洲蹲嘛。那现在的话，以前的话就是一定要找那种坐式的，就是虽然说是比较脏，但是就是在外面上厕所就是没办法。那现在的话，就是我连蹲的厕所也都没有问题。
Okay, so I was asking her about what's the physician, her doctor says about her condition, because at the very beginning it was the side effect from the bone transplant, bone marrow transplant. So at that time, all the condition that we actually mentioned was the doctor was quite worried about her condition, on how her life will go. And now, because in Taiwan, a lot of our bathrooms are actually still the squatting ones. And at that time, she couldn't do any squats. She had to find like the sitting ones, and it's just not as clean. And now she can do all that and no problem. So the doctor didn't say anything, but it shows. Yeah.
And Dana's question is, what do your physicians say when they see your progress and changes?
就是你的医生有没有讲任何的事情，就是说你改变了这么多？
有啊，那时候其实就连我的家人吧，看到，因为我之前走有点像僵尸那种很僵硬，然后然后皮肤都没有弹性，然后他们有时候可能碰到我就会很痛。那他们现在就看我就是走路啊，就不管是走路的方式，就也是越来越自然。那现在的话，就是之前都是有吃中药，那现在的话是连药物也都没有在使用，就是很纯天然的，就是可能有时候是喝一些油啊，跟一些可能维他命 C 这样子保养了就没了。对，就是已经把药物已经移除掉了。
Wow. Okay, so like not only the doctor said see her changes, also her family, because before she was walking, she walks like a zombie. You know, it was like kind of zombie walk. But now, like, and when they're trying to touch her, it hurts. But now when she's walking, she walks like very normally now. And so now she's actually off medicines. Before the pandemic, she actually still takes Chinese medicines. Now she's only, taking supplements like, vitamin C's or just some oils to like lubricate herself. That's it. And I mean, she's pretty much off all the medication.
And would any of the rest of you like to comment on your doctors noticing anything?
My favorite rheumatologist is always just impressed and said to don't stop what I'm doing, to keep doing what I'm doing. And had I started earlier, my progression may not have been what it was. I was in so much pain at the beginning that I had just stopped moving. And now I know that truly, if you don't move it, you lose it. So he is always just telling me to keep doing what I'm doing. And my previous pulmonologist was very impressed that I actually improved my lung function after about 15 years because I added the breath work and pranayama to my practice. So it's always good to hear the doctors say that, yes, what you're doing is good and to keep doing it.
That's
Alexis?
actually, I was going to talk about the lung function.
Oh.
When I got diagnosed, the first thing my rheumatologist said was, we need to take these medications. So they're like immune suppressing medications. And I was 30 years old, I just had a baby, worked in a hospital with immune compromised children. So none of that was ideal. So I was like, can I do anything to not take something to knock out my immune system even more? So I think it's important to note that like yoga was the biggest change. There were some dietary changes too, for a lot of us actually, but yoga was the biggest change. And I think that is really the catalyst of what caused my lung function to stabilize versus continuing to get worse. So I haven't reversed anything, but I also haven't gotten worse. And I think that's a huge, huge deal, to not get worse, because our lungs are like how we live, right? So, you know, I think my rheumatologist in general doesn't really understand everything that I am doing, but he said, whatever you're doing, it needs to be at 100%, 200% commitment level, because otherwise you'll see changes in the opposite direction.
Excellent feedback. Anybody else? Okay, I think we'll take any more questions, Kathy.
Yes. Junko Takahashi would like to know, is the program different from the Yoga for the Special Child method? And if so, how?
Kathy, we're going to let you take that one.
Okay. This is the Sonia Sumar method. And the only difference we have is in Yoga for the Special Child, we do not use props. We don't know the potential of the children we are working with, and we do not want to hand them something and say, you need this. We want them to empower their own bodies. We want them to learn what their potential is. We want them to go within. However, in Yoga for Scleroderma, most people are women diagnosed in their 40s, and we are teaching people who a year ago ran a marathon and now they're sitting in a wheelchair and they can't put on their own socks. And since there are 16 Yoga for Scleroderma teachers around the world, but we are not able to reach everybody in person. So what we are teaching people to do is how to keep themselves safe. We are teaching them how to go to a yoga class in their own town with their own friends. And so in order to get them from where they are into that yoga class, we will occasionally suggest that they use something that will keep them safe while they do their yoga. And then over time, they will be able to do more and more with less and less props. Lori is the one who helps us decide what would be safe, what would be effective, and what will help people bridge that gap between where they are now and where they will be able to be. And I'm actually going to ask Lori to talk just a little bit about her own experience, starting with props and then moving on.
Okay, thank you, Kathy. So yes, props are a big part of my practice. Less so now, but originally they were. I couldn't get up and down off the floor at all without some sort of assistance. So a chair was my first prop. And then we learned to stack bolsters and use different things to bring the floor up to me in different ways. Because while chair poses are great, I want to be able to find my full potential and bring things back that I've lost. So my brain just works that way. I'm a mechanical kind of thinker. So when I walk into a room, I'm basically looking at everything in the room and figuring out if I need to use something to benefit my body, how can I use it? And so we've added things like push-up bars. We have special straps that we use, all very inexpensive things that just make a big difference, because there are some people that would like to be able to do plank on the floor rather than a plank on the wall. And the difference is using those push-up bars when you can't bend your wrists or your hands are compromised and you can't put them flat on the floor. So for me, the props make it more comfortable and definitely more safe, so that I'm not trying to do something that I actually can't physically do and then end up hurting myself. Whereas the props really bridge that gap for me.
Our next question is from Yoga with Juhi. Do you practice every day?
I practice some sort every day. More often, I have a little practice that I do in my bed, as Kathy mentioned, our video before your feet hit the floor. I do some variation of that every morning, just because when I get up, everything is stiff and everything is a little achy. And so doing that helps me get moving so that there's less pain starting my day, because the pain diminishes for me as the day goes on and I keep moving. Breath work is definitely a part of my practice because I need to keep my lungs going. And so that's something that I definitely do every day, sometimes multiple times a day. After my bed session, I wish I was more diligent, that I had a better moving practice every day, but I don't always have a longer moving practice. I do try to get some in every day, but it's not always what I would like it to be. Alexis, Pat?
I'm at about the same place, Lori. I do stuff every morning before I ever even think about leaving my bed. On the days where I work, I do quite a bit more because I'm doing stuff. I work in psychiatry at a children's hospital, so I'm doing a lot of yoga with them. And I'm doing it with them to model the safe poses and stuff. But so on days where I work, I do quite a bit more. And the rest of the week, I do my stuff seated on the couch or seated on the floor, or but always in my bed before I get up. And then breath work multiple times a day for, a couple minutes each time. Pat, what about you?
So actually, it's funny, is because I think we're all about the same place, is that I also have a practice first thing in the morning. In fact, most of my practice is purely standing, sitting, or laying in my bed. Getting up and down on the floor is difficult at times. I also do a practice at night because of my digestive issues. I usually use the constructive rest pose for a few minutes every day at night. So that's also helped. And during the day, because of my range of motion, I try to do some poses as well that help increase, especially my arms. So that's kind of where I'm at, but not as much as I would like to, but I'm still working on. I'm having other issues right now, so it's kind of been a little bit more challenging. So anybody else need to?
Me too.
Yeah, so I have been practicing a couple of times a week. And as Pat said, I would like to do it much more. But as of now, that's the case. Because somebody else mentioned earlier also, the more movement we give to our body, the more it will give benefit. The more we restrict it, it will not let you move at all. So then it becomes really painful. So we need to understand this actually. We need to really move it. Whether any pain is there, we need to just move it. Thanks, Lori.
So I ask Irong too. So Irong 就是要问说你有没有每天都有练习，然后你练习些什么？来开一下麦克，好。
现在的话，就是因为工作上就是每天都是坐着嘛，那当然身体还是就是会一直就是紧绷，处在那个状态。那就是回家的话，就会简单的做一些前弯、后弯跟扭转，然后呼吸是无时无刻都在做的，对。然后就是不哪里可能觉得脚比较紧绷，那就是在做一些脚的一些体位法这样。
Okay, so because working is always sitting down, so when she's when she comes home from work, she will do forward bending, back bending, and twisting, and really, listen to her body and feel which part is more tight, and she will, put in that the asanas that would help. And as for breathing, it's happening every single moment. So she is doing it all the time.
Excellent. Thank you, guys. Kathy?
Jaya had a question. Is there any research along the lines of what Alexis is saying? How wonderful if other people with scleroderma can avoid immunosuppressants and replace with yoga for the special child. As a community, perhaps we need to be educating the physicians. And Cheryl answered in the chat, there is quite a bit of pranayama research going on out of the University of South Carolina, Charleston. Dr. Sundara Devial Balasubramanian is a PhD researcher in oncology and scleroderma at the University of South Carolina. He also happens to be an integral yoga teacher who was educated in India at one of the predominant yoga colleges. And his work is scientifically based. It is peer-reviewed research, and you can find his books and more about his peer-reviewed research on his webpage at pranascience.com. And he presents at the Scleroderma Foundation conferences. And the first time we both presented, we were talking about Swami Satchidananda, because he takes his kids and his wife regularly up to Yogaville.
I wanted to say, Lori and I presented at a Scleroderma for young adults, is that what it was called, group?
Yes.
Last month. And there was somebody in that group that had participated in his scleroderma research. So I think they said that he's going to be publishing that fairly soon. I think that his study was ending, but it was on, I think, all of that, scleroderma and yoga. Right, Lori?
I believe so, yes. He had designed a program where they came to him and learned, and then they were supposed to go home and do it for a period of time, and he was measuring results and such.
Yeah, so fairly soon we'll have some more specific scleroderma and yoga related research to look at the results.
And we had a comment from Sherry LeBlanc. It takes courage when you are ill and in pain to seek out alternative methods that are not recognized by the medical establishment. I applaud you. And,
Thank you. It does. I think for many of us, I came before Alexis, and I was given all of the immunosuppressants, and I didn't know any different. I was in my early 20s. I had been taught that the doctors know everything, and I'm not saying that they don't, but I was just given a bunch of drugs. I did crazy treatments, and while they saved my life, they also added a myriad of complications to follow. So had I known what I know now, I think things would have been much different.
And I think for me, like just reading the side effects from the medications that were being recommended for me and knowing where I was currently at in my life, I just was like really weighing, like, do I want to deal with these side effects, or do I want to like see what I can do? Like, what can I do? What am I capable of? What options are available? So I think there's a lot to be said for, I don't want to say research in the terms of like Googling things, but I mean, there's a lot to be said for doing your own research and looking into different options and then having that conversation with your providers. And some providers are willing to hear you out, and some of them are just not. So then at that point, getting second opinions also.
thank you. And we are about to end, and I would like to read our comments from Shivakami. Outstanding work. It is very impressive and inspiring, and may the Divine Mother bless you all. And thank you, Shivakami. This is your work, and we are reaching people all over the world.
Thank you,
Thank you,
everyone. And I
Pam.
believe that's the end of our session.
Yeah, you guys are amazing. You're just on time. So thank you so much. Thank you so much. That was very nice. I'm sure people's mind is like, oh my goodness, I want more. So we're going to have a little break now of 10 minutes to prepare for the next panel. And I'll see you all in a little bit. Okay.